So after another action-packed weekend in the Championship, in today's video we are going to be rounding up everything that went down over the course of the weekend. Unfortunately for us, we are now going into an international break, which isn't brilliant for us, but even so, over the last weekend in the Championship, we had a lot of talking points come up, which we will be discussing in today's video. So make sure you leave a comment in the comments down below as to what did you make of your team's performance this weekend, and what have you made of your team's season so far. So if you guys do go on to enjoy the video, make sure you leave a like, it is always massively appreciated. As well as that, make sure you subscribe for some regular Championship content. So just before we get into talking about any of the individual games, I will include your guys' comments on screen now. So if any of you guys did successfully manage to get any of your predictions right going into this weekend, then I will include your comment on screen now. And fair play to everyone who did get one right. It was a pretty tough one to predict this weekend. We had quite a few bizarre scorelines going on. I managed to get one of my predictions correct this weekend. That was the Bristol City against Sheffield Wednesday game, so not too bad going from me. But apart from that, guys, let's jump into talking about some of these games. So first up, we had Leeds United going up against Brentford. Quite an interesting game going into this one, really. Two sides going up against each other who, so far this season, had really impressed me with the style of football they've been playing. But in this game, Leeds United, I didn't think they were at their best, really. From what we've come to expect from Leeds so far this season, you know, the sharp passing play, the fast, high-tempo press off the ball, and the movement as well. That wasn't really the case in this game. I thought they were giving the ball away in quite cheap areas, really. Some of their possession was quite sloppy in this one, and Brentford did look the better team in the first half. They created a couple of opportunities. Neil Maupay had a couple to take the lead for Brentford. Ollie Watkins as well hit the crossbar from a deflected shot, but we went into half-time at 0-0, and then in the second half was when the controversy really started for this game. Brentford managed to take the lead through Neil Maupay, a penalty. The penalty decision being very controversial. Now, when I saw the penalty incident in real time, I thought it was a penalty, you know. It was Ollie Watkins racing into the box. It looked like Peacock Farrell had taken him down. I thought that was a fair enough penalty, but watching the replay of it, you could clearly see that Ollie Watkins was going to ground way before there was any contact with the goalkeeper, and so Leeds felt quite hard done by with that one, and fairly so, you know. But then in the 88th minute, it was Pontus Jansson who stepped up to equalise for Leeds United, and 1-1 was how it did finish. Also in the 94th minute, we saw Luke Ayling sent off for a second yellow card, but that didn't really have any impact on the game. So the question I asked to Leeds fans is, what have you made of the performances recently and the results as well? Because despite Leeds are still sat third in the Championship, they've only now won 2 of their last 7 in the Championship. So it's an interesting time at the moment with Leeds United, of course. They've still got a lot of first team players out injured, but a 1-1 draw, not the worst result in the world, but not the best performance either. Then next up, we saw Birmingham beat Rotherham United very convincingly with a 3-1 home victory, thanks to Lukas Jukovic, who popped up with a hat-trick. What a game he had in this one. Very clinical in and around the box for this game. Also a player who I thought looked very good and promising for Birmingham in this game was Jota as well. He was central to creating everything for Birmingham in this game, cutting inside with his left foot from the right hand side. He was absolutely instrumental for Birmingham. A couple of the goals that Birmingham scored, I thought Rotherham maybe could have done a little bit better with. Rodak, the Rotherham goalkeeper, I didn't think had a brilliant game in this one. The first one, I don't know what he was doing really. It was an in-swinging corner coming into the back post. Jukovic manages to head it back across goal and somehow managed to sneak in at the near post. I thought Rodak could have done a little bit better with that as well. And the third goal, it was a very nice one, I've got to say. That worked very well from a free kick. Jukovic just fires it into the bottom corner after a nice set piece from the edge of the box. Rotherham did get a goal back from Taylor in the 77th minute, but even by then the game was already gone, really. So a very convincing performance from Birmingham, picking up a 3-1 home victory. So far this season, a couple of times we've suggested that Birmingham have been creating chances, but they've just not been clinical enough. But lately they've been looking good going forward. And then we saw Nottingham Forest claim a 2-0 away victory at Middlesbrough, which now sees Forest climb into the playoffs. And this was an absolutely fantastic performance from the away side. So far this season, we've seen Nottingham Forest draw a lot of their games, and some of their performances have been quite wooden going forward, but this was not the case in this game. I thought their transitioning play through midfield was absolutely superb, and one player you have to give a shout out for this game was Joe Lolly. He was absolutely fantastic. In the first half, he went on one dazzling run, weaving in and out of Middlesbrough players, was unlucky not to score in that half, but the second half managed to take the lead in the 49th minute thanks to an absolute rocket from Joe Lolly from outside the box. Definitely contender for the goal of the weekend, rifling it past Darren Randolph. And so far this season, we've seen Middlesbrough being very defensively resilient. That wasn't really the case in this game. We saw Lewis Graben double the Forest lead in the 77th minute. He managed to ghost in front of his marker and fire it into the back of the net, and that was a convincing performance from Nottingham Forest. The only real downside for Forest from this game was that they did end the game with 10 men after Jack Robinson was shown a second yellow card for an absolutely tragic dive in the 80th minute. But even so, Forest looked very good. Middlesbrough, I thought they looked far off the pace in this one. Going forward, they didn't offer a lot, apart from really Braithwaite, who hit the crossbar in the first half and was looking lively throughout the game. Hugo was looking quite isolated. The Somblonga, had a couple of chances, but didn't have his finishing boots on in this game, and overall was pretty poor from the home side. And then we saw Millwall get back to winning ways with a 2-1 home victory over Aston Villa, and that could be a massive result for Millwall's season. They were coming into this game without a win in their last 8 championship games, and this 3 points now means that they are no longer in the bottom 3 for the time being. But for this game, Aston Villa started the game quite brightly, actually. A free kick coming in from Hurahan, and a really nice finish from Tammy Abraham, sort of a scissor kick on the volley. Really nice going into the back of the net and managing to deceive Ben Amos. After that, though, you could sort of see what Villa's problems have been this season. Defensively, they just don't have any cover there. They were forced to play Alan Hutton at centre-back, and their lack of depth at centre-back is really baffling for me. You know, for a club like Aston Villa, with all the options they have got going forward, their lack of cover at centre-back this year really could cost them. You know, allowing Tommy Elphick to go out on loan and not bringing in a suitable replacement has been absolutely criminal. You know, we've seen Mali Jedinak play there so far this season. Me, personally, I don't think he's a centre-back. And in the end, they were made to pay, because despite Millwall not having that much of the ball, the chances they created were far superior to the ones that Villa were creating, and goals from Ferguson and Elliott managing to seal this one for Millwall. And like I said, going forward this season, that could be an absolutely crucial 3 points for Millwall to get back to winning ways. And then we saw Stoke City pick up all 3 points going away to Carrow Road with a 1-0 away victory, and that was no easy task, because going into this game, Norwich were on one of the best runs of form in the whole of the Championship, really, and Stoke really had to dig into this game to go ahead and keep all 3 points for this one. But the only goal of the game coming from Tim Close, an own goal in the end. It was Martina darting down that right hand side for Stoke City, sent a ball across the box, and Close just sliding in, managed to put it into the back of his own net, deceiving Tim Krul, and quite a harsh way to lose a game, really, with an own goal like that. Norwich had a lot of chances for this one, and a lot of the possession as well, but in fairness to Stoke, they defended very well for this game. That's now 2 clean sheets in their last 2 championship games, which I think is massive for a team like Stoke City. Jack Bullen had to dig them out a couple of times with some big saves, but overall thought it was a very good defensive performance from the Stoke City side, who have been woeful defensively for the majority of the season. So to pick up all 3 points, 2 wins on the bounce for Stoke now, they're going into the international break with a good run of form. And then next up we saw my team Preston beat Wigan Athletic by 4-0, and finally we are no longer bottom of the Championship, this being only our 2nd win of the season, our first one going all the way back to the first day when we beat QPR by 1-0. So this result has been a long time coming, but I must say it was a very convincing performance from Preston, and we were actually playing like we were last season, so it was a really encouraging performance from Preston. Talking about Wigan Athletic first of all, though, their away record going into this game wasn't brilliant, and you could sort of see that playing on the players' minds for this one, really. I thought it was probably the worst we've seen Wigan so far this season. Going forward, they didn't really offer anything, especially when Nick Powell went off injured. They looked to change the system a little bit. They brought on Dan Burn to replace him, and that really didn't play into their favour at all. Going forward, they had no pace at all, and Reece James was really their only option for this game, who had a decent game. But talking about Preston, it was Tom Barkhuizen who gave Preston the lead after 17 minutes. Possibly Walton could have done a little bit better with that shot, just creeping in at his near post, but even so, Barkhuizen looking much better than he has done in the previous few months. He was looking to take on players in this game, looking a lot more direct, and looking like the old player we had playing for us last season. Into the second half, we then started to run away with this game, really. Callum Robinson managing to finish off a nice move for his first of the day. Paul Gallagher then managed to convert a penalty, and Callum Robinson managed to wrap up the game in the 96th minute with his 2nd goal of the day. We also had a couple more opportunities for this game. It could have even been more than 4-0. We had a penalty appeal waved away in the first half, which I'm not sure how. It was Lucas Nemecha racing through on goal. He was taken out, and for some reason the referee didn't give a penalty for that. Also, we had Alan Brown hitting the crossbar, and I'll put the picture on screen now. He was just 3.68 millimetres away from scoring for Preston, so really unlucky there for that game. But one player I've got to give a shout out for Preston was Lucas Nemecha. He was absolutely brilliant for us in this game, causing that Wigan defence all sorts of problems. His movement off the ball was excellent, and his physicality was also absolutely fantastic, and he looks like he's really started to adapt to the way that we like to play. He's adapted to the Championship now, and so going forward this season, I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. He deserved to score a goal in this game because I thought he was excellent. Then we saw QPR drawing 1-1 with Derby County. QPR actually started this game fairly well. In the first 15 minutes or so, they forced Scott Carson into a couple of saves, but it was Derby who managed to take the lead after 24 minutes. A very cool finish from Jack Marriott. A bit of a defensive blunder coming from QPR, a long ball coming over the top, a bit of a defensive mix-up led to Marriott being thrown goal, and he managed to slot them 1-0 in front. After that, though, QPR responded quite well. I thought there was quite a lot of energy in this QPR performance. They were working Derby around quite well in this one. Scott Carson had to be kept on his toes, and Derby weren't the best in this one. They took that 1-0 lead into the second half, but even so, weren't able to capitalise on that. And QPR managed to get back into the game after just 48 minutes. It was a Luke Freeman free kick. Scott Carson managed to save it, but the ball then went back across the box, and Jeff Cameron managed to make it 1-1. And in the end, that was how this game did finish. Recently, Derby haven't been on the best run of form in the Championship, and you can sense a little bit of frustration with some of their performances recently. Both sides had chances in the second half to go on to win it, but in the end, it was a 1-1 draw. So quite an interesting encounter. Then we saw Sheff Sheffield United beating Hull City by 1-0. Currently sat at top of the Championship after 12 games on 25 points. There's been a very promising start to the season for Sheffield United. In this game, it was Sheffield United who had the better of the first half. Going into the second half, that's when Hull started to come alive. They were challenging from a couple of set pieces, had a brilliant chance to take the lead through Henriksen, but a fabulous save from Dean Henderson, the Sheffield United goalkeeper. He's made some terrific saves for them so far this season, but that was right up there. A fantastic save to keep them in it. The only goal of the game was scored in the 70th minute, a penalty scored by David McGoldrick. The penalty itself, it did look to be a little bit soft to me. I can see why the penalty has been given. You know, there was clear contact. The player has brought the other player to the ground, but even so, it did look to be a little bit soft to me. But even so, it was David McGoldrick who slotted it away for another 3 points for Sheffield United. This result now leaves Hull City bottom of the Championship, so I'd be interested to get some Hull fans' opinions on what you think has gone wrong for you so far this season. But in terms of Sheffield United, it's been a very promising start. And it has been a long time coming, but finally we have seen Ipswich Town pick up 3 points this season in the Championship with a 3-2 away victory over Swansea City. And it was a very dramatic game indeed. It was Swansea who started this game brighter, and they managed to take the lead after a Donassi own goal for Ipswich Town. In this game as well, Swansea created a whole bunch of chances, and at times they should have probably put this game to bed, but Ipswich had that never say die attitude about them. It was Sears and Edwards going forward who were really causing Swansea some problems in this one. Edwards scoring the first one and an own goal deflecting from Sears managed to make it 2-1 to Ipswich going into half time. Into the second half, Swansea once again dominating for large parts of this game. They created some fantastic chances once again. Dean Gerken, I've got to say, produced some pretty big saves for Ipswich in this game. You know, it's been quite a controversial decision for Paul Hurst to drop Bielkowski, who was so good for Ipswich last season, but in this game I thought that Dean Gerken produced some pretty big saves for Ipswich. And when Bertrand Salina managed to equalise for Swansea City, I thought, here we go again. It's going to be Swansea that will push on for this late winner, and Ipswich once again will go home with nothing to shout about. But that was not the case. In the 84th minute, Ipswich managed to respond once again, and it was Chalobah who popped up with the winner for Ipswich Town. Make no mistake about it, this result will be massive for Ipswich Town's season, just to give them a morale boost going into this international break. You know, could you imagine going 12 games of a season without winning a football match? You know, Paul Hurst was coming under increasing pressure, but this result now does give Ipswich a bit of a breather going into the international break. You know, they're not bottom of the Championship on 9 points, and there's time to turn it around now, that's fair to say. And going forward, they've got some good options. Then we saw West Brom beating Reading by 4-1, and West Brom at the moment cannot be stopped in the Championship. With their current goal scoring form, it is an absolute joke. In the 12 games that West Brom have played so far this season in the Championship, they've been able to score 31 goals, which is absolute madness. But in this game, West Brom actually started it quite slowly. It was Reading who had the better of the first half. Bakuna managed to give them the lead after just 6 minutes. A really nice finish from him coming from a corner kick. Going into that second half, West Brom just seemed to turn a screw. 2 quick-fire goals from Dwight Gale managed to give West Brom a 2-1 lead, and after that West Brom started to run away with the game really. Reading seemed to sink back in that second half, not playing to the intensity they were playing to in that first half. Harvey Barnes managed to make it 3-1, and then Cal Bartley managed to seal it, making it 4-1 to West Brom. So their goal scoring form at the moment, you need to be absolutely on point if you are going to see off this West Brom side with their attacking prowess this season, and with players like Dwight Gale and Harvey Barnes who are on sparkling form at the moment, you need to be on your top game to see them off. And I thought that in that second half, Reading were quite poor defensively really. So a 4-1 home victory for West Brom, very convincing second half for them. Then we saw Blackburn beating Bolton by 1-0, thanks once again to their main talisman this season, Bradley Dack, with the only goal of the game for Blackburn Rovers. It was quite a good first half from Blackburn. Going into the second half, they looked to settle quite defensively and just to shut out Bolton in that half. Bolton were getting into some decent areas for that second half, but they just couldn't finish anything. Obviously, the big talking point from this game was Bolton getting a penalty, but then it was ruled out for offside. It was actually a good decision from the linesman in the end, as he was fractionally offside. But even so, Bolton, like I said, they were getting into some decent areas for that second half. They just didn't have a final product to break through that Blackburn defence. But this result now leaves Blackburn 10th in the Championship, and so far I've been largely impressed by Blackburn. And then for our final game of the weekend, we had Sheffield Wednesday beating Bristol City by 2-1, and Sheffield Wednesday at the moment going very well in the Championship. In the first half of this game, Bristol City missed some really gilt-edged chances. Famara Jeju had one absolutely terrific one when he was clean through on goal, but Cameron Dawson managed to make the save. Webster also had a fantastic chance, but Bristol City just couldn't find that opening goal in the first half of this one. And you could sense that Sheffield Wednesday were growing into this game going into the second half, and they managed to take the lead thanks to Lucas Jout. The opener was quite a poor goal for Bristol City to concede really. A long ball going down the centre of the pitch, Lucas Jout managing to outstrength Baker, and then a composed finish managing to mean it is 1-0 to Sheffield Wednesday. After that, just 2 minutes later, Lucas Jout then manages to make it 2-0. Some nice footwork from inside the box, and he just fires it into the bottom corner at the goalkeeper's near post. 2-0 then, Sheffield Wednesday were looking quite comfortable. After that, Bristol City had a couple of chances to go ahead and get back into the game, but it was Taylor who stepped up with the penalty in the 80th minute, and after that, Sheffield Wednesday went on to close off the game. And this result for Sheffield Wednesday now means that they are sat 6th in the Championship. So they have been on a very nice run of form recently, unbeaten in their last 4 in the Championship, and a very good 3 points away at Aston Gate. But guys, they were all the games that did take place this weekend. As you can see on screen now, that is how the Championship table is currently lining up going into this international break. So currently we got Sheffield United and West Brom as our top 2. There's our bottom 3. We got Hull City, Ipswich Town, and Preston North End. So still everything to play for at this point in time in the season. So as for my result of the weekend, a few contenders for this one, but realistically, I have to give it to Ipswich Town for picking up their first win of the season with a very dramatic 3-2 away victory at Swansea City. Going into that game, not a lot of people were giving them much of a hope really, but my result of the weekend is going to go to Ipswich Town. And then as for my goal of the weekend, it's going to have to be Joe Lolly from Nottingham Forest for his absolute rifle of a goal against Middlesbrough. But guys, there you have it. That will now wrap it up for this episode of the Championship Roundup. So if you did go in to enjoy, make sure you leave a like. It is always massively appreciated. As well as that, make sure you subscribe for some regular Championship content. But apart from that, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.